man, that was just super unexpected for the Pistons to get a win against the Celtics, especially in Boston. The Celtics have been playing great. Second seed in the East, 27-11. The Pistons, absolutely not that. 14-27, somewhere from 10 to 12th in the East. The bottom couple teams just keep rotating because they all have the same record. So when one loses or wins, they just kind of vault above each other. But regardless of the Pistons win, that's really not what I'm here to talk about. It's not really anything even exciting. At this point, I kind of hope they lose more games than they win. But that's really kind of neither here nor there. The exciting part tonight is Sekou the Damaja out here. Having his best game as a pro, really. 24 points, 10 of 13 shooting, 2 of 5 from three-point range. And you can tell that there hasn't been a Pistons rookie with this kind of just like offensive potential and energy in a really, really long time, probably since Andre Drummond. And for Drummond, it wasn't even more so just like a great offensive player. You could just tell what kind of center he'd be. It's the kind of center he became. Just constant double-doubles every night, and a guy capable of getting like 20 to 20. But if you're all in for a Pistons rebuild and you see Sekou play like this, 28 minutes, again, putting out his best effort as a pro against a really good team in the Celtics and a good defensive team as well. I know they didn't have Jason Tatum for tonight, who's probably their second best player behind Kemba Walker. So they definitely aided the Pistons in their victory. But it's impressive nonetheless, being that you can go on the road in that type of environment and, just kind of put up the kind of game that that Sekou's really been able to have. And you hope that there's eventually just kind of a switch that comes forward where I know Dwayne Casey himself is not trying to lose games, but I think you have to understand that playing Sekou now really as much as you can is best for him in the future and is really kind of best for you to try and win games now if you want, because it's not like Thon Maker is giving you better minutes than Sekou, right? And even on a night-to-night basis, Markieff Morris had a good game tonight too. But on a night-to-night basis, I don't think Markieff Morris is just so much better than Sekou Doumbouya is, right now, or even a better guy to try and win with. So, Sekou's really earning his minutes not just for a rebuilding team, but a team that they want to fight for the A seed. I think Sekou can help in that lane as well. I hope they don't get it, but I think, just moving forward and towards the end of the season, there's really no excuse not to be playing Sekou 28, 30-plus minutes a night, just with kind of everything else that's going on around the team. Other stats, again, not that they really matter too much because nobody else you're really trying to you really get excited about. Svi Mykhailiuk, another young guy. I don't know if he's going to be here for the rebuild long term, like I think Sekou will, but 21 points and 5 assists and 5 of 8 from 3. I was looking at the free throws, which is 4 or 5, but 5 of 8 from 3. So he had a really good game too, and he's someone that I hope the Pistons can keep. But just as they move towards, kind of gaining more assets and shipping off some of the pieces that they have right now that would help a team trying to win. Guys like Svi are kind of lower down in that pecking order than definitely Sekou, definitely Luke, Kennard, who's still been played tonight, dealing with, I don't even know what injury he's got right now. Knees, back, something around there, I think. Bottom line is he didn't play, and he hasn't played for a minute because he's been hurt. But I think Svi, he's probably even below Bruce Brown in that pecking order. I like Svi more than I like Bruce Brown, but I just don't think Bruce Brown is really a point guard in the NBA. And I think that's kind of where he would be, like his quote-unquote special position where you would have to keep him. As far as just shooting guard, he doesn't shoot the ball well enough to to be an everyday shooting guard to me, but he can handle the ball. But if you're going to give me, Sekou, Luke, Shvi, and Bruce Brown, the one I'm absolutely taking out of that equation 100% of the time is going to be Bruce Brown. And it's not even just based on the game tonight. He didn't really have a good game tonight. 4 points, 3 assists, 2 of 7 shooting. But it's just, moving forward, I'd kind of look at who I would want on this team as they move towards the next, even 5 to 10 years of Pistons basketball. And, Sekou, Luke, and Svi, at least right now, are, the top 3. Christian Wood, I didn't see if he got hurt tonight. That would be my only – it looks like he's day-to-day. Wood is questionable for Wednesday's game, right knee soreness. Okay. So the fact that Christian Wood did have right knee soreness, I don't know if he left the game early today or not. But being that he's questionable coming in probably explains why he only got 8 minutes of playing time, because he's a guy too that he's not as young as certainly someone like Sekou or some of the other guys that they have on the team, but he's kind of like Pistons young, if you will, and he's still only 24, but he's been in the league on a couple different teams. And so his development might not be as crucial as some of the other guys that you have, just in your system that you're trying to bring up. But he only played 8 minutes tonight, but he was dealing with some knee soreness coming into the game, so that probably factored into it. And then as far as who else showed out that you might be able to trade right at the trade deadline and get some more assets back and accelerate and really just kind of deep dive into your rebuild, your restructuring of your team, whatever you want to call it, your tank. Andre Drummond was 6 for 6, 13 points, 13 boards. Flirted with the triple-double because he did add 7 assists there. Derrick Rose had probably his most efficient game of the season, 22 points, 6 assists on 11 to 13 shooting, and the only 2 shots that he missed were 2 3-pointers. So from, inside the 3-point line, he was 11 of 11. Tony Snell didn't really do much for you. And then we already talked about Markieff Morris, 23 points, 9 of 14 shooting, and he knocked down 3 threes, 2 steals, 2 assists, 2 boards. So he kind of did a little bit of everything. Langston Galloway, 0 points, 0-4 shooting. So not a good performance, but he's been somebody this year who I think has played consistently well enough that he should still garner some trade interest, even if he's somebody that you can only get like a second-round pick for. All right, I think you'd probably rather have just like that lottery ticket maybe that could, possibly obviously turn into something. You might be able to move it in a package on draft day, whatever the case is, than having Langston Galloway for, this year and then even obviously next year, where you feel like it's having him on your team doesn't really benefit you, and not because he's not a good player. It's just, kind of having Langston Galloway on your team and giving him minutes. It doesn't help him because I'm sure he wants to win, and it doesn't really help you as you move towards a kind of new era of Pistons basketball, if you will, and where you're really trying to develop people that you do have and figure out who can we trade off to get, future pieces for us, and who do we want to absolutely keep under any circumstances because we feel like this, player is potentially a star in the league, and you always want to keep those types of guys on your team. But that's probably the microcosm of this game, really. If you're going to take, just a couple bullet points from it, is Sekou, best game ever, and really a really encouraging sign. Again, 24 points, 10 to 13 shooting, and you really got to see like a lot of the energy that he's able to bring, and then you see some flashes of just the enormous potential that at least I think he has. And I might be a little bit biased because he's on my Pistons, of course, but enormous potential, at least for me, and you get to see a little bit more of that. And then from guys who they seem to be the most talked about Pistons to be traded at the deadline, at least. Andre Drummond, good game, 6 of 6. Again, plus 26 on the plus minus, the highest on the team, really by far. And Derrick Rose, 11 to 13, So when teams are looking for like backup, point guards or just anybody that can come up off the bench and play sort of that Lou Williams type role where you're just going to get absolute buckets out of him. Derrick Rose is showing that, he can absolutely do that. And tonight he actually got a second start of the season, but he still played 29 minutes, which seems kind of about the pocket that he's played every night anyway. And against Svi Mykhailiuk, 6 of 9, 21 points. So you had Sekou going off, Svi going off, and then Drummond and Rose. If they aren't going to be here by the time the season ends and we do move them before the deadline, they've had a pretty good audition tonight for the 29 other teams in the NBA that are watching. But that is what we have for you guys tonight. We did just drop a Sports Carnage today, actually, a day early, so a little bit of a gift for you guys. So make sure you go check that out. Hit that blue link in this Facebook description right here. If you're watching it on YouTube, there's going to be a link in the comment section below or in like the description section. You know what I mean? So make sure you check that out on Podbean, on Apple, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever it's called now. And then make sure, again, you're liking our Facebook page, our Twitter page, which you can find both at, Sports Carnage Podcast. Just type it into Google, and then our pages will pop up. It's probably the easiest way to do it. But I have been Ryan from the Sports Carnage Podcast, presented by Detroit Sports Nation. Thank you guys for tuning into our Pistons Celtics post-game review. And I hope we can do more ones like this, not necessarily victories, but just where Sekou Doumbouya is averaging 40 points and then the Pistons get the number one pick. That is my personal dream world. But stay safe tonight, everybody. Stay safe over the weekend. Not sure when the next time we'll be talking to you is, but I'm sure it'll be sooner rather than later. See ya.